Bookstore is the first black bookstore in the nation, and that was the place where you met everybody, leaders and people, black people that was trying to move ahead to try to do something with themselves, where you can get inspired, and it's a real treasure, and it means so much. To the black community, it means as much as the cable cars are to San Francisco. And nobody would want the cable cars to leave San Francisco. We feel the same way about Marcus Bookstore.
So the people who come into the store are a wonderful group of people who are interested in the truth. The truth is a vertical line. And for Marcus Books' 53 years of being anti-gravitational and supporting many human interest issues in the city, it has become a well that people go to quench their thirst on non-material items.
This community icon only serves to make San Francisco more of a special and interesting place. For 54 years, the Richardson family has educated, led, and mentored the people of San Francisco. Please help us to preserve their legacy. Please go on record that during your term, you helped to save this cultural icon. Also, your vote would send a signal to the few remaining African-American citizens in San Francisco that you are working for them and that you understand their plight.
But what I need to do is to empower those people there, empower the young people there, okay? The young people nowadays needs to have a physical presence of the past. And Marcus book provide that kind of physical presence. Recently I went in there and I saw the spirituality. It's very much different to hear about it than to actually have the people, have the children and the people actually walk in there and seeing the venue, seeing the old photographs, and that's the way for the minorities and for the black communities in the Western Addition to connect them with the past.
And the Fillmore District is known in Harlem as the Harlem of the West. And Marcus Bookstore is very well known in Harlem, where President Clinton decided to relocate after he left the White House. And they really admire that bookstore. When we had board meetings here, they would go to that bookstore, very impressed. I would buy literature. I buy literature for my grandchildren from that bookstore. They are now young adults and teenagers, very astute and very well, they understand their culture and where they come from, and they're doing very well, going on to college, getting their education, and I thank Marcus Bookstores for that.
We've been circulating a petition, not online, but we've been going face-to-face, person to person, and people have been telling me their stories. They've told me about how they stood outside in the cold, and it gets cold and windy on Post and Buchanan, listening to jazz all night long. They've told me about what Marcus Books means to them as educators, as students, as people in the community. This is one of the great treasures of San Francisco, and we cannot lose it.
That you
Thank
can't
you.
get nowhere. And it enlightened me a lot, and enlightened a lot of people. And I think it ought to be as a landmark.
I think the Marcus Garvey Bookstore is a library of sorts, and I think it's good for the community at large, and not just the African American community, but a source of historical documents and books for the city and county of San Francisco and the people that live here. So I think you can do what you can by talking to the man personally and his wife to get something accomplished here, instead of just pushing and knocking on doors and filing agendas. I think all of you or some of you should get together and talk to him personally.
Marcus Books, it's been involved, or it's been a part of my life since high school. I went to S.R. Martin, where Karen taught at, and I went to school with two of her daughters as well. So for me, Marcus Books has always been a place where I can get out of the madness. And then Karen, she always has a message for me. And she always has a book that can relate to me or to
somehow
anybody.
The mayor's office and the board of supervisors found the resources to save the Gay Center on Market Street. Somehow the mayor's office and the board of supervisors got the money and resources together for the infamous America's Cup. And now the city has the resources to try to snatch the Golden State Warriors from one city to the other. If you have the resources and abilities to do those 3 projects, one simple bookstore should have been done a long time ago. Turn this one down, and you might have Al Sharpton, etc., standing where I'm standing, and I would like to see you deal with his busloads of supporters. And many people in this chamber would gladly welcome a sit-in of good old black folks.
And with regards to the Brown Act finding, again, Supervisor Breed has made the motion. That has been seconded. If we can do that without objection, that should be the case. And then let's take a roll call vote on the resolution itself. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, on a resolution supporting the preservation of the historic Marcus Books Jimbo's Bop building on Fillmore Street and urging its current owners to sell it to an owner who will uphold the building's community's serving purposes. Supervisor Breed.
Aye.
Breed, aye. Supervisor Campos.
Aye.
Campos, aye. Supervisor Chu.
Aye.
Chu, aye. Supervisor Cohen.
Aye.
Cohen, aye. Supervisor Farrell.
Aye.
Farrell, aye. Supervisor Kim. Kim, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Tang.
Aye.
Tang, aye. Supervisor Weiner.
Aye.
Weiner, aye. Supervisor Yee. Yee, aye. Supervisor Avalos. Avalos, aye. There are 11 ayes.
The item is approved.